is almost independent of what others do. So the given situation, as I'm studying oligopoly, there must be that there is an oligopoly just not about few firms, that is of course technical definition by right, but it's also about when the actions of the firm affect each other, the interdependent action. That's what the oligopoly is. And this is exactly what we are trying to study, that what are the actions which affect each other. What is game theory as a concept? Game theory is about category itself. It is also about when there are some players playing a game where the payoff to a player, we use a technical term payoff. The payoff can be money, the payoff can be simply winning or losing. When the payoff to a particular player not only depends upon what the player does, it also depends upon what other players do. That's the main subject or the main argument in how game theory is developed. That my actions depend upon what I do. Of course, if you get like GPA ranking in the class, what you end up getting in this GPA is not only about how much you study, but how much in the evening you can disturb your neighbor or keep him away or away from study. So that would be a strategic choice. Right? So that's what the oligopoly is. That's what game theory. I told you what oligopoly is. Now in your mind you can see why to study oligopoly. I need to look at this kind of subject which is trying to study. There is some examples of game theory. One of the most exciting examples I can think of is, let's go back for how many years back? 2006, World Cup football. Quarter final. In the general knowledge class. Quarter final, World Cup football, FIFA World Cup 2006. I'm sure some of you have heartbroken. Which match am I referring to? The community World Cup football. Argentina versus Germany. Argentina lost on tiebreaker. There was a news item next day newspaper which came to India. So the one day later was who was the German goalkeeper there? In fact, those studies called like the good football. So there was a news report there before every penalty kick taken by the Argentinians, Yemen was putting a cheek out of his right sock, was seeing something and feeling bad. So people did object that he was doing something and the people were that's not illegal. Keeping a piece of paper in the sock is not illegal. And what were we doing? We don't know. But what we know what we managed to do. We actually managed to save 3 out of 4 shots taken by Argentinian players, and Germany had a virtual walkover in the tiebreaker. And then, all hell broke loose. And what was this guy doing? Why did he get so inside? And the Argentinian goalkeeper did not get this inside. So what was the determination? What was the magic formula? And then we look at the game theory. Now here is a simple game. We're not talking about the entire football, we're looking at only that question, the penalty kick as a game. Between the striker and the goalkeeper. Now you can look at any medical journal, you can read up from anywhere, but this is a fact, Look at my gray hair and take it from me, don't dispute, it's a fact. That if any distance footballer will get the penalty shot, for any human being, before he can react, there is a reaction time, the ball will be passed. If you are waiting for a distant guy, as a goalkeeper, handling a distant guy for taking a shot, then by the time you register as if the ball on your left or your right, the ball has been passed. Because when we try to deal with the ball community, what a wonderful shot is when the goalkeeper do wrong with. That's an absolute nonsense. You can't send the goalkeeper a long way. The goalkeeper decides to go to the wrong way. But no goalkeeper, if they have to react, they're looking at who's getting the shot, the best they will do is they will make a slight movement, because by the time they will realize that is the body, they will realize the body is the leg. How does the leg collapse? Now, the striker knows if I hit on the right and the goalkeeper gets it correctly and dives on the right, then chances are that the goalkeeper will miss. If I hit on the left and the goalkeeper correctly gets it on the left, then the chances are the goalkeeper will miss. Striker knows. So does the goalkeeper. The striker knows if I hit on the right and the goalkeeper dives on the left, yes, most likely I will. And if I hit on the left and the goalkeeper dives right, most likely the goalkeeper will. Right? So every time it's an opposite direction, striker will win. Every time it's from the same direction, the goalkeeper will win. Both players know this. And therefore, the goalkeeper, before a shot is taken, decides whether he wants to dive left or right. The striker also decides whether he will hit left or right. So you do not send the goalkeeper the wrong way. The goalkeeper has already decided whether he wants to dive left or right. Because if you fix the decision till the ball is hit, you will not be able to move from where it is. So what this young gentleman had, which others did not have? You must have had in a piece of paper a strategy against it. Yes. The moment that you get a guy who is going to take their shot, which direction is left or right. Or to the stand right. So that was a game which was played before the match. That was a strategy which was given to Lehman and Lehman himself. Indeed, therefore, what you can figure out, that along with the German football team and the coaching staff, there are a set of young guys like you who have analyzed data, did the game theory calculation, and on a piece of paper, very to the team management theory. And that is the pure game theory calculation, where the team has two seconds there, where the striker within the theoretical policy doesn't depend upon only how well or where you have played, it also depends upon what the goalkeeper did. For the goalkeeper also winning the match, not only depends upon how well I have died, it also depends upon how well that is striker. That's the game to live, which has nothing at all to do with oligopoly. It's always good to start the day with something nothing to do with formal academics. Radio expectations, they will be more stories like this. And then get back to more mundane stuff about bottom line, top line, fraud, etc. So this is what we will try to do. So the fact of the matter is very clear that we are looking at an industry where there are few players. I have not defined few, but I have almost told you what few is. Few is defined in a way as long as actions of the particular firm is going to affect the other, or actions of one other firm is going to affect. Is that going to be true? It's possible. Can that true happen with Pericles? Possible. I cannot put a number on it. I cannot say what n equals to what means this is true. But at this point in time, it seems to become a monopoly and acquisition person. Oligopoly and acquisition. So we need something to that is one of the crucial things in the oligopoly. The moment it is free when there are action, there are certain automatic things that will happen. For example, in perfect competition, what we have is there is a perfect information. All the buyers have and all the sellers have. Here, we will not have perfect information. It is entirely possible that there are few and not too many because there is some amount of information, and therefore some firms are actually making profit for saying there, while some others are not. So there is the information asymmetry which is an important part, which again is not crucial for monopoly, because it's not the only one. Information asymmetry about what your rival is selling, etc. is very good. The other thing which also characterizes a defined oligopolistic and the scenario. That was told over two about the asymmetric information. It's also that the action can influence pricing. That will not be because if I can affect your output, which means and doing something which can affect price sector. So you are not a price sector, you are a one who is getting price. And if there are other things you bring a oligopolistic model that why do you study, oligopoly, somewhat different to do? My guess, I think the reason of the opinion is that most of the firms which you will be targeting or will be targeting, you can't necessarily will be from the oligopolistic industry. There are industry, there are 3 or 4 firms, and everything, your top line or your bottom line or whatever you are working would depend upon not only how well you do, but how well others do. You have to understand some of those things. And therefore, what oligopoly has done, it has led to a number of other disciplines and conflicts with each other. For example, in the book of the lecture, you figured out that why was marketing important? At what point in time can the price or efficiency do not serve what is the economic service? Why do we study? Why do we study kind of finance? These are all outcome of a deadlock where there are people found each trying to affect the other, and what is the next step you do? What economic features you do? The usual get a quantity and you get a profit. Get a price, you get a profit. Or when you do something with a capacity, but you might do something more. So that's how the Indian industry has kind of developed over the time. On each of the actions we take, you find there are certain sub-actions. We are reading marketing, then particular training, advertising, other things. All of the follows those certain activities. So what I'm going to do is I will start with a very basic one for this one digit competition. So I will look at a oligopoly scenario where I'm starting with only 2 firms, and I will argue that whatever I do can be in either end firm. Let us understand the 2 firms, and then we will see how to do the end firm, and then we will see what are the problems. So in other words, I'm looking at those models where there are firms in an industry, there are some consumers, and the firms are producing something, and therefore, the only point in interest to me is that the firm decide how much quantity to produce. The moment we have decided how much quantity to produce, the price in the market gets automatically determined or fixed because there is a demand function. The moment the price is fixed, the revenue for the firm is now automatically determined because that quantity and the price. I also know the cost. What are the cost functions? What are the cost functions? So I know the profit, and my objective is to maximize the profit, and therefore what must be the quantity available. And then what are the challenges? That's the first thing we come. That's what is called quantity competition. And here what I will do is I will do start with what's called a smaller competition. Quantity competition or what I call the tuna model. Very good, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to do what is the tuna competition. So here is that how I'm going to look at. So, applicability versus demand.